After spending quite a while exploring different neighborhoods in Buenos Aires and hopping between a few Airbnbs, we decided to leave the noisy, busy capital for a little while and head to the quieter suburb, Olivos. Olivos is a riverside district in the northern part of Greater Buenos Aires, inside the Santa Lopez municipality. It's considered one of the most prestigious and peaceful suburbs of the city. It's only 15 kilometers north of the city center, right on the Rio de la Plata. Here you'll find mostly low-rise houses and closer to the river, modern apartment buildings with amazing views. There is also a beautiful waterfront with parks, bike lanes and walking areas. We rented a small but cozy house with a patio and a rooftop terrace. The area is full of palm trees and local parrots love to nest in them. Their constant singing has replaced the endless car horns and bus noises from the city. Every morning we have breakfast outdoors while our cat tries to make friends with the local wildlife. The parrots are especially funny. They've taken over the palm tree and fight each other for its fruit. This morning we need a good breakfast before heading on a little adventure. So pancakes with cheese and pickles, not exactly Argentine food, but I'm sure the locals would love it too. We're joined by the neighbor's cat, a ginger one. Unlike the city center, where you see dogs everywhere, here it's cat who rule the streets. So whenever we go for a walk, we always carry a little snack for them. Since we haven't gotten our driver's licenses here yet, our main way of getting around is the bus, colectivos. And honestly, they're super convenient. The network is so well developed that you can get almost everywhere without needing the subway. On some streets, several bus lines pass by, each painted in its own unique style. The lines are numbered from 1 up to 200 and more, and some have branches like A, B, C. They run 24/7, but at night the wait can be pretty long. You pay with a super card inside, a universal transportation card in Argentina. The fare depends on distance, but it's usually just a few hundred pesos. You always board from the front door, right next to the driver. Today we're going to Bartolomé Mitre station. From here, trains can take you either towards the business center at Retiro or further out of the city, along the river to Tigre. That second route is the one we are taking today. It's called Tren de la Costa, the coastal train. Here's the pedestrian bridge connecting Maipo and Bartolomé Mitre stations. These little suburban stations often look frozen in time, like something out of an anime with old architecture and vintage charm. Tren de la Costa is unique. It wasn't designed just as a transport, it was made as an attraction. It connects residential and tourist areas along the Rio de la Plata with trains that have big windows and comfy seats so you can enjoy the views. That's very rare for suburban trains in Argentina. Some stations have been turned into shopping and leisure centers, with restaurants, shops, and even little museums about local railway history. At one of them, we found a family of cats sunbathing right on the platform, completely unfazed by the trains passing by. Our train arrived pretty quickly. The interval is usually around 20 minutes. You still pay with a Sube card, but there are no turnstiles here. You just step inside the carriage. The ride is gorgeous. Green parks, old mansions, football fields, all with the river inside. After about 20 minutes, we hopped off at a random stop. Las Barrancas, the wooden architecture and small pedestrian bridge give it a cozy, timeless feel. From there, we walked down to the Costanera de Acassuso, a riverside park with walking paths, playgrounds, shady trees, and viewpoints over the Rio de la Plata. It's one of the few public waterfront areas in San Isidro, perfect for biking, rollerblading, or just relaxing. It's also part of the natural protection of the coastline, keeping the environment healthier. Costanera de Acassuso is a great example of how urban space can blend nature, comfort, and beauty. It's an ideal place to recharge, enjoy the quiet, and stare at the river, especially if you live in San Isidro or want a calm break without the city rush. After a rest, we continued walking along the river. In some areas, embankments were created or expanded with construction debris and remnants, adding land for new parks or roads. Parts of the district of Puerto Madero and Costanera Sur were formed this way. Over time, the concrete and rocks get covered with moss, algae, and shellfish, becoming shelters for birds and fish. Ecologists see a silver lining here. They act like mini artificial reefs and feeding grounds for water flow. The path often leads through marshy areas and we noticed a lot of concrete and stone ruins scattered along the shore. Apparently, these are remnants of old ports, warehouses, and shipyards from the 20th century. When they were abandoned, it was too costly to remove everything, so foundations and blocks were left behind. Today, they help prevent erosions and serve as little habitats for plants, birds, and fish. When these areas were first developed, the Rio de la Plata shoreline wasn't treated as valuable public space. Land was sold off for mansions and clubs, yacht, tennis, weekend residences. City halls didn't carve out a guaranteed public strip along the river. From the mid-20th century, parts of the shore were taken over by ports, warehouses, shipyards, and rail infrastructure, naturally fenced for security. In some stretches, there are still Navy bases and ranges, historically close to the public. Restricted access raises the prestige and price of houses and clubs. Good for owners, and city halls collect taxes. Some municipalities and owners say fences offer safety and vandalism prevention. Critics call it a pretext for de facto privatization. A bit further, we stopped by Spirit Kite Beach, a community for kite surfing, wingfoiling, and SUP. It also has a restaurant and green lawn right by the river. On weekdays, it's super quiet, which was perfect for us, and for another local cat we met there. One strange thing in Argentina is that many waterfronts are private and closed off with fences. Historically, much of the land was sold to private clubs and residences, yacht clubs, tennis clubs, naval bases, even factories. By law, 35 meters from the water should be public, but in many places this doesn't apply because the land was privatized long ago. So now you'll often find fragmented access. Locals debate this issue a lot.
Обычно не делаю. Суется, конечно, но я не даю. Ага, да, что?
Our next stop was Parque del Rio, basically a big open field on a bluff overlooking the river. It's popular for volleyball, sunbathing, or just enjoying the view. Funny enough, people complain in Google reviews about the nearby gym blasting loud music. Some say it ruins the peaceful vibe and bothers the birds. But I can also imagine how motivating it must be to work out with such a view.
сверху пропустил.
From there, we headed to Muelle de Martinez, a long concrete pier with a lookout tower at the end, almost like a ship's bridge. Locals love it for fishing, mate, and just chilling with the water. At sunset, it's incredibly photogenic. You can see the neighboring shores from out on the river without going anywhere. A local Santa Claus, don't ask how he ended up here, seems impressed by the views and the fishing. This old narrow pier is a place for quiet walks and fishing. Locals often gather here with rods, sip mate, and wait for a catch in peace by the water. Many people call it one of the most photogenic spots on the coast. Sunrise and sunset light, reflections on the water, everything feels dreamy.
Yes. Ciao. Hasta luego.
Nearby, we found a sculpture called El Cincel de Chisel. It's a massive bronze tool set into giant blocks, symbolizing the power of human labor and creativity. It's a sculpture of a giant nail driven into cobblestone, the work of one of Argentina's most notable sculptors of recent decades. Mirador al Rio is a public space on the waterfront, a kind of informal balcony over the Rio de la Plata, a spot to rest, chat, and enjoy nature inside the city. It's a quiet, pretty corner of coastal Martinez, where you can enjoy the views, the greenery, and that suburban vibe. We also passed Escultura Pastafari, a playful reference to the parody religion of the flying spaghetti monster. Only in Buenos Aires, right? Today's walk could have been on bikes. In 2021, the Vicente Lopez municipality next to Martinez opened a 2.5-kilometer bike path along Paseo de la Costa. It's a concrete strip with clear markings integrated into the landscape with greenery, built for safe, pleasant and good-looking cycling. In 2024, local authorities talked about creating around 50 kilometers of bike lanes to link neighborhoods in San Isidro, including Martinez, into one network. Martinez is turning into a bike-friendly suburb. Solid coastal routes exist, new lanes are coming, and an active cycle community is building great tourist loops. Later, we stumbled into a small riverside barrio called El Ceibo. At first, we were nervous. Argentina's poorer areas can have a reputation for being unsafe, but it turned out to be warm and welcoming, full of life. People run bakeries and car workshops right from their homes. And we noticed a little altar to the Virgin Mary on the street. A common site here, often set up by residents for protection. Most are put up not by churches, but by locals. They are called capillitas, mini chapels. Some are simple brick and glass, others are carefully maintained with lighting and flowers. Locals value the area for its charming square and the waterfront trail that leads to the ecological reserve. El Ceibo started in the 1960s as an informal settlement on old industrial land. Over time, it grew into a proper neighborhood with paved roads, a plaza, public services, and even art mosaics celebrating the national tree, the Ceibo. Today, it's a vibrant community right next to an ecological reserve. El Ceibo is an example of how spontaneous building can grow into a viable, culturally rich neighborhood full of nature, art, and active citizenship. Walking further, we couldn't help but notice the environmental problems. The Rio de la Plata, despite being massive and beautiful, is polluted with trash and untreated wastewater. It's a key transport route and a source of fresh water for millions in Argentina and Uruguay. Despite its importance, the river faces serious environmental problems, including trash and wastewater pollution. Its banks, especially in urban areas, are often littered. Plastic waste, packaging, and other garbage end up in the river, polluting it. Efforts are made to clean up, but the situation remains difficult. Sewage, including untreated household and industrial waste, is discharged into the river. In 2008, Argentina's Supreme Court ordered a cleanup, but progress was limited. Recent budget cuts and the end of judicial oversight worry environmental groups. Pollution degrades water quality and can cause illnesses in people who rely on it. It also harms the river's ecosystem and biodiversity. Overall, the Rio de la Plata remains a serious environmental challenge that needs a comprehensive, sustained approach to clean up and restore. We researched the topic and found out that there are ongoing projects to clean it up, but it's still a serious issue. Even worse, in the Riachuelo River, considered the most polluted in South America, flowing along Buenos Aires' southern edge, its contamination goes back to the 19th century and still causes major health problems in poor neighborhoods nearby. After exploring El Ceibo, we were tired but happy, heading back toward La Lucilia station. The day gave us a whole new perspective on this area. Would we live here by the river? Maybe. One funny thing is that many people who've never been to Buenos Aires imagine it as an ocean city with sandy beaches, but in reality it's an estuary. The water is brown from river sediment, there are no waves, and swimming is mostly banned because of the pollution. So yes, no ocean here, but there are parks, piers, history, culture, cats, and a lot of beauty, if you're willing to look for it. And as this little cat seems to be telling us, if we did move here, we probably wouldn't regret it. Apartments in this area start around 30,000 USD for studios outside the center and can reach up to 100,000 USD for 3-room units. Houses vary wildly. For example, a house with 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms can be around $1.4 million. Average price is roughly 3.6 thousand USD per square meter, making this one of the most expensive areas in the northern suburbs. These districts developed from the late 19th, early 20th centuries as country homes for Buenos Aires' wealthy families. Some families still live here, generation after generation, keeping the traditions of private clubs, yacht marinas, and golf courses. Today, most residents are well-off professionals, lawyers, architects, business owners, IT specialists, Many work downtown but prefer greener neighborhoods with less noise and more parks. These suburbs are popular with expats from Europe, from the US, and Latin America looking for comfort and safety. There are international schools, language academies, and the art clubs, which makes it attractive for families moving in. In San Isidro and Tigre, you'll notice lots of artists, musicians, and designers. Some rent house studios or old estates turned into galleries and cultural centers. In Tigre and coastal San Fernando, many homes are weekend homes, classic Argentine fin de semana tradition of escaping to the river. And that's it for today's little trip to Olivos. I love that in just 30 minutes from the city, you can feel like you're somewhere else completely. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll take you on another adventure in the next video.